Guten Morgen, good morning, bonjour, welcome. On parle de Vienne et si c'est possible, est-ce que je peux parler anglais? Merci beaucoup. J'essaie avec mon français depuis 4 mois, mais c'est pas assez parfait pour une conversation comme ça. Merci.
Moi aussi.
First of all, I want to say welcome that you're all here. I'm the new director of the fair, and I'm very happy that you're all here, to the galleries, to the visitors, to my team again, and to especially the people sitting next to me that I all know from my time in Vienna. So we said we'd do a talk about Vienna. Some of you have heard in the press that we take a bit Vienna and what happens there about culture and the location and the destination and how the art world interacts with the society and the development as an example. So I would like to introduce Tanya Breda Vriesman, from whom I learned how to do fairs, who is coming from the Netherlands and came to Vienna because somebody called us to do Vienna Contemporary in 2012. Tanya Breda and her husband, Renger van Heuvel, they did something within, I think, 6 months, actually working time. Very welcomed by Ernst Hilger, who is a long-time gallerist who helped us a lot and who has a long-time very, very loyal and actually big column of his gallery, Michael Kaufman. Welcome. Who also developed his own alternative project some years ago, started this process some years ago in Vienna, which is the queer space, which is you find here in the takeoff area. So he represents two parts of the art market, and this is why I was very grateful that he said yes when I asked him to come. And then there's Philipp Klinger, who's really in one step actively since we are on the premiere day today with his platform Artxchains, which he will explain us a bit what they are doing. They are present also in the Vienna focus area, and it's all about combining in a great large meta level, and we go then a bit deeper later. In the change of paradigms that we have at the moment in the world, we have him representing that also in Vienna, a platform that deals with the new technologies in art and how you can sell them and how you can show them and how this whole exchange can be driven, and also the world cultural heritage and also a bit of social responsibility, and they're linking all of that. And for me that's a very interesting combination, because I think this is the triangle why we need culture and art. So this is the three positions that we have, and I'm very grateful that you all came this morning from Vienna. So my own idea of a destination and of a location is that you have something that we call genius loci. So there is a genius of a location. There's a structure that grew over the years, over the culture, that makes a location, makes a city, and at the end creates also the destination as a point that we communicate to call people. So I wanted to see, what would you say is in Vienna the key point that made it a place? Everybody says the life quality is so big. Everybody says Vienna is culture. Why do you, as people living in Vienna or moving there, think this is the case?
I think a very important moment was the fall of the Iron Curtain, because Vienna before was a really like dirty, grey, very ancient city, and through the movement of all the international companies which had headquarters for the Central and Eastern Europe in Vienna, because we were the last hub in the Western region, Vienna got really more international and open-minded. And of course there's the tradition of the multicultural situation of the old empire, that we always were a melting pot. And through that, I think it was the development of creativity as well, meeting different people from different cultures, creating new ideas. That's kind of, for me, the thing why Vienna developed in the last years into a very interesting and proposed, no, not active scene of contemporary art.
Mm-hmm. Did you see that too when you came to Vienna?
Well, I compared it with Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2012, we picked up Vienna Fair, and in that context, we got a lot of warnings, let's put it that way, that Vienna is all about Mozart, Kugel, classical music, you know, the whole dish that you get if you say Vienna. So don't forget the Sachertorte, everything. But, but there is a very, very strong contemporary art scene. Don't forget the wonderful university in Angewandte, which is really an incredible start for a lot of artists in Vienna. So if you start from there and then you look at the galleries, there are more than 30 contemporary art galleries, of which many are doing international art fairs, and that already for a very, very long time. So they have already carried out what they're doing in Vienna. I think there is, like you say, after the curtain went down, it like uncovered, or it was not golded, but dusted.
Yes.
And then don't forget the international, of the institutions with their international program. That's very, very important. But I think if you start with the artist base and also the support of the artist base, there is I looked it up this morning, it's 270 million yearly coming from to support the whole,
to support the cultural.
Yeah. And it's important because it's not only that classical tourist.
But you underline also that it's in the structure of the city, because it was there before that shift of the Iron Curtain, and it then just got stronger because of the influx. Is that what you would both agree on?
Of course, for example, if we take the Museumsquartier, which was like when it was built, one of the biggest and most city planning projects in Europe, combining 3 contemporary like modern contemporary art museums, dance studios, architectural archives, and also like being a place to hang out with bars, restaurants. That was really like groundbreaking to bring people into the arts. And of course, we have the luck that the city and the states supporting the arts in a very big amount, even like in the institutions, but also like the project of Curated by, for example, that's a festival of galleries where 20 to 25 galleries are inviting international curators to curate a show in the gallery under a certain theme, which is completely funded by the city of the Wirtschaftsagentur, with the economical agent of the city. So you get the budget for the curator, you get the budget for the production as a private gallery, which is immense. And so they are bringing new artists, they are bringing new ideas, and of course we are spreading out this.
And this is a festival that is worldwide. A lot of cities are envious, a lot of galleries are envious, but it's important for international curators to get this podium and to be included. Now this year was the 15th edition. It started in 2009, and I must say they all go home and they tell about how wonderful Vienna is and what a great proposition there is during that festival.
I can only underline that because I'm working in Germany and in Belgium and here and in other places on projects before I came to Luxembourg, and here and there I always met curators that said, where have you been just? oh, I'm just working on my curated booth project and my curated buy project, and it's so exciting and it's so good in Vienna to be there. The gallerists are open, the public is open. So these formats have been developed, and that's a very good key point for me, because you said that the Ministry of Economy is behind it. So what I always saw, and that's very interesting, also compared to Luxembourg, for instance, and other places like Berlin or other places we know, when the city and when the state are behind it, when they have understood it, which is sometimes a decision of one person that knows it in the right moment to move the right things, and the right, how do you call it, to press the right buttons, then things are changing. And then sometimes it switches and the private economy is going a bit to the side. And then there are areas that when the city and the state are not so much involved in the developments, then the private economical partners come into it again more. For me, this is super interesting to see, because you are somebody who comes totally from your private entrepreneurial side, but you're dealing based on technology and your knowledge and your contemporary approach only with market parameters. But you want to talk about culture, you even want to talk about world heritage and bring it to the people's homes via that medium, and want to be in the same time with contemporary art and that discourse on one platform. Do you have the feeling that you would need the state, or you would need the organs that hold as a vessel also the civil society? And do you think you would need, as a second question, more interest coming from the museums, for instance? Or are you actually maybe happy at this starting point that you define your ways until you are there? How do you perceive that in Vienna, where everything has such a strong identity? And how do you see it maybe in comparison to other places in the world that you're in touch with?
Hi. Well, it's complicated, to be honest. I'm coming from the startup scene, entrepreneurship scene. We have a saying in Vienna: whatever happens in Vienna, if the world collapses, you come to Vienna and you have 50 more years to live. So everything is slow. In terms of the startup scene and also the arts scene, it changed a lot in the past 15 years, I would say 10, 15 years. There is much more support from the government. I wish there would be much more support, to be honest. But as a startup, it's not easy to, it's called the art of the start. So you're trying to build something, you're trying to support, you're trying to help artists, institutions, galleries, and also cultural heritage. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy, to be honest, because you have to talk to so many different institutions, so many different parties. And what we are doing is we're building Artxchains, is a Web3 hub for created arts. And a lot of people, first of all, don't even understand what we're doing because it's something new. It's a blockchain, it's Web3, NFT. At the moment, there is so many scam projects going on. So a lot of people, when they hear NFTs, basically think it's scam. It's worthless. But it's not. The technology behind it's an NFT, it's just a smart contract. And within a smart contract, you can actually build many good things. You can support artists, for example. What we're trying to do is we're trying to not just sell digital art, but also combining physical art via NFT. And an NFT is a smart contract. So why are we doing this? The artist, for example, if an artist sells an NFT, a physical art, for example, he gets paid once. If the new owner resells the art, the artist doesn't get anything. With the technology of blockchain, we can combine and we can transparently see every single transaction. So actually, the artist receives royalties for life. And that's actually how you can support an artist and also the government.
And when you have this discourse, for instance, with people that have galleries, when you discuss this, do you have the feeling that it's understandable also because for them, also because the interest is there to protect this cultural heritage of the creation of an artist, or do you still have to explain it?
It depends,
even
actually.
Even in the ideology of it.
It depends. What we have experienced so far is that galleries, for example, sometimes, not always, think that we are like the competitors. But we're not, actually. We're not at all. Every artist needs a gallery because they're supporting them, they're showcasing them, they create events. So they manage them actually. What we are just offering is actually another tool to help them to get a new target audience, a crypto-affine target audience. And also help them to help the artists and also the galleries, because they also receive fees from it.
And would you say that in the economical surrounding and in the society surrounding that you're living in, would you say that the identity of Vienna makes a difference in your discourse, or the identity of a European city, or a European city which is very culturally charged? Do you see that this conversation goes better or slower than, for instance, here in Luxembourg? You have a business partner in Luxembourg, I know. Would you say this is faster or more fluid, or how do you see that?
Absolutely, Vienna is super slow. I used to live in New York. It was completely different. I used to live in London. It was different. The people, they're moving much faster.
In the big cities?
In the big cities, yes. In Asia, everywhere in the world. Vienna is just so slow. It's like we have a saying, schauen wir mal, let's see, passt schon. They just take it slow. They want to see. And usually you have to, look at Schwarzenegger, for example. It was nothing when he was in Austria. When people move away
I see.
And they're successful somewhere, they come back, then the people start listening to them.
But that's a really interesting point, because I have very often hear the discussion, do you understand Luxembourg when you come from the outside? How do you do a fair in 4 months when you have no idea about the people? I spoke to the Austrian embassy and they said, how good do you know somebody if you need anything? We are also not from here, but we help you. So that's what you get straight away. But Tanya, you arrived with a very, very big impact of other culture behind you, because there was a Russian investor, with American backgrounds or roots or involvements. There were a lot of international people in the team, also one German, and this went on and on and on. My observation, which was not truly only objective, but a bit, and on the retrospect, I have to say that the mixture of these different mentalities created a very special energy, and also the mixture of new tasks that we had to do. Somebody wanted to talk about financial investment subjects and wanted to have a big conference, so we all of a sudden had to think about that in parallel. But we were just art people 20 years ago. I'm 45 now, so I was not very experienced in also standing there and asking questions, you know. I remember that, and then Tanya said, can you just do what you need to do, Caroline? But there was a lot of energy in it. And this energy, even when I see what happens in the discussion of the NFT world and the founding world, doesn't that give a big impact in a city, in a location, and doesn't that create new chances also in the cultural world?
I do remember
that atmosphere. Yes,
that's first round, and what for me was the takeaway. Actually, we came there and we said, okay, we're going to do this. Klaar. How we're going to do it, we'll see, but we have to do it. And then there were many wonderful Viennese people telling us it's not possible. So, and then I thought, yeah, but not possible is not possible. Come on. And then, yeah, but, whatever.
Yeah.
They would
Schau mal mal.
or no, everybody has tried it before. And then you saw someone looking at me and like, yeah, but you're from outside. You probably get it done. So I don't, you know, I love the Viennese, and I grew up in Maastricht, which is also a small town where people have also a certain closed community. I think, and like you said, I only know it's the saying being that it's 10 years later, so I'm more positive in that sense. I think we did get things done also because they knew it is possible, but they were just afraid, and changes are scary. But we made a lot of changes, and every time it just went a step further. And of course they know. And it's not a closed city. It has a lot of international people working there.
How much do you think that the culture of the location, the genius loci of gastronomy and tourism, helps our artistic discourse and our exchange discourse also when you're founding something and you need to push people, you need to explain a lot? How much do you think that this aspect is crucial? How many percentage would you say? I would even like to ask the audience, because for me this is an ongoing discussion. We had a big event here yesterday and there were a lot of galleries from outside the country saying like, is this about gastronomy or is this about selling art? And for a lot of people here, every Luxembourgian said, guys, you have no idea. What we do in Luxembourg is we meet, we talk, we have perfect gastronomy, we established our seeing each other again, saying hello again, all of that. And then the whole other thing with buying art, getting to know the art, talking about the art follows logically. How is this in Vienna? Because Vienna has a big culture of that.
Well, it's a very important part of it. You know, if you take it away, it's not the best experience. So no, you need it, klaar.
I think in this way, Vienna and Luxembourg maybe a
Very
little bit
simple.
similar, because we like to meet in the coffee house.
Yes.
And have a tratsch, and we make business in the coffee house or in a restaurant, or like in a bar. I have more meetings outside of the gallery with clients than in the gallery.
I remember.
We go there, we have a lunch, and then we have the discussion, and then we go to the gallery and make the selection.
When we think about gastronomy, when we think about art fairs, when we think about all of that, it's something that I call always holding a space. So we are creating a space and we're holding a space to infuse it a bit, but also to actually let things happen within that space. And this is what for me actually unifies, again, these two people here, because you are creating a space where actually a conversation also happens if one goes to your platform.
Yes.
You are running one of the longest running galleries that had different spaces in town, and you started a new space, philosophically speaking, but also concrete with the queer art. And you started a space which is called Do It Together, which is a beautiful name already, DIT, in Vienna, in the middle of the street of the galleries. So if you go to Schleifmühlgasse in Vienna, you have to visit Tanya's space. If you go to the first district,
talks. There are so different ways to hold the space, that it doesn't have to be always a physical space. In generally, yes, of course, our target is to create a queer art and culture biennale in Vienna in the next 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But in between, we take every chance to promote queer artists and queer culture. It's also like, you know, we are like consulting companies. They want to have a queer event, but we are also looking if it's. We are really like very conscious about, is it just rainbow washing, like. Or is there really substantial interest behind? And we're starting now with some companies to create a real like a 3-year or 4-year plan how queer culture could be involved in the marketing and also in the company's culture.
How do you see the consulting aspect, Tanya? Because when I met you talking about this new project, Do It Together, you always emphasized a bit, I want that everybody does it together, because you are also a person that loves when everybody is linked and there's an exchange. and you said, but then it's also an Airbnb for galleries. But then I saw you, and I saw that you are doing more than just Airbnb-ing the space. How do you see when one takes these positions in the art world, in the gallery world, but also in the city where you are in the cultural environment? How much consulting, like you just described also as a part of your project, do we need to give, or are we automatically giving, or how big is this aspect lately? Because I have a feeling that changed in the last years.
Oh yes, I'm sure you're absolutely right there. The professionalism is much more needed in that sense. So if you work together, do it together. If you do it with a queer art platform, or on an art fair, or even I think in a digital environment, you need commitment from both. It's not just paying for a stand and then waiting for somebody to come by and buy all the art. That's not working, you know. Sorry. So for me, it's, I will advise. I won't tell you you have to do this. No, I said don't forget to do that, because everybody does it in their own way. And the reason why I opened DIT was really, okay, first of all, it's a wonderful space and I got the opportunity. But on the other end, I know a lot of galleries who have invested going to fairs in Vienna many years. And they want to continue connecting to the base of their business, or the collectors that are there. And they don't want to rent a space for a whole year. And this is also, I think, a change everywhere in the world. Spaces are so expensive. Art fairs are expensive, but the reasons why are very obvious, because the efforts that go in there is professional people, is professional location, is wonderful food, is getting all these elements together. And in that case, I think, you know, to get somewhere you have to make a certain commitment, and that's not only paying. You know, you have to do things together.
And how do you see that? I can only imagine that the consultancy and giving help in even only the thinking must be quite intense in the field that you're opening to artists and to cultural institutions worldwide, and also the NGO world, because you're linking. You have to explain us quickly. You're linking cultural heritage of the world to a charity project.
Well, first of all, we're super thankful that we have an amazing team.
Yes.
Our team is opening us doors. I'm super grateful that I'm here today. One of our team members is actually a Rapa Nui, Ariki. And what we're trying to do is, everybody might know the Moai statues. The Rapa Nui is on the Easter Islands, an indigene, and they cannot support themselves. They don't get any subventions from Chile. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create NFTs with an experience behind it. So for example, if you buy an NFT from a Moai, you will get the opportunity to go to the Easter Islands, and a Rapa Nui will showcase you the Moai. And whatever we achieve, the money will go straight to the Rapa Nuis to sustain themselves. So actually we're trying to connect them. NFTs with a real world experience, and also with funding for them.
And how was that process to explain the people how they get there?
It's still ongoing. We've been in negotiations the past 1.5 years. It's a different world. Web3, blockchain, they have no idea. There's not one director we're talking to so many different people, politicians as well. It's an endless story, and it's not easy to actually help them. We're trying to help them, but it's not easy.
But that's what I find so interesting about this aspect of your platform. It's a small aspect, but it's an aspect that brought me back to our world, away from the Rapa Nui, because what we are doing has an influence in the cultural life of our cities and countries. And you mentioned politicians. here I'm very, very lucky and grateful that we have politicians that really want to develop Luxembourg to a destination. So I can knock a door and I'm straight away talking to the people that want to make a decision, and they're very happy. And even the diplomacy from the countries, even chambers of commerce, they all understand here also very straight away, because everything is very close to each other, that there is an interconnection. We want to enlarge this and deepen this, but it's a very wonderful base to arrive at. But still, it's a very tricky situation, because, and I would like to have your feedback how this goes when you do these projects that you do in Vienna, and also Tanya, you with your 2 fairs that you're involved a bit deeper, also aside of that. How do we talk to the politicians? Do we have the right? Do we have the duty? Are we asked? Are we not? Do we have a responsibility as individuals on our position in the society?
This is, for example, the reason why we call our association a non-profit association, Verein für queere Kunst und Kultur.
Okay.
Because for me, it's not only to promote the queer art, but it's also like to open up the culture and give them an idea of what is queerness in real life. We are lucky in Vienna that we have some open doors, which really like in the politician which are interested in promoting that as well. There's in Vienna also like a other association which is called Queer Museum Vienna. Their target is to form a museum. And they got really like this year, the first year, a really like a huge funding from a supporting promotion. It's called Shift. They got like 100,000 euros for their program and the space in a public house. So there is luckily the people which are in the decision moments in this different funding agencies of the city. They are real like people
Behind
which are behind and stand up and say like, yes, we want to queer up Vienna.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that procedures, and there is in many levels of talking to politicians or the city or even the government. But it's just knocking on the doors and making a very interesting proposal. And I know that culture is very important. So this is not something you have to convince them, but you just have to remind them not to spend all the money on the other stuff.
So you also have to talk with the chamber, with the camera, as we say in German. I don't know the English word of the camera. So you have to get, you give us all the advantage to be very close with the person who sits on the money box and tell him where to put the money. Okay.
Sharing is caring.
Just very straight.
No, I had, for example, the situation at the last exhibition which we had in mid of January. We went to the Bezirksvorstehung, which is the how you say the chancellor of one of the districts of Vienna. They have a small budget to promote cultural events and something like that. And there was a jury of course, all the parties are included in this jury. And of course, the right-wing person said like, queerness, we don't need that. And but we had what we did is also like we invited school classes from the secondary school grades to come to us and get a guided tour. And when we started to talk about that, this person who was really against the project said like, no, wait, with these kids, we can take some money from this spot to put it there. Mm-hmm. And so we got like 3,000 euros from funding to make our program, which was including 30 school classes, which were visiting for us in the exhibition, and we had workshops to create signs, and it was really like also like interesting to see how the youngsters are really like approaching that openly to the queerness. And for us it was very important, this field, because I think as sooner as you open your mind, as easier it is to open it up.
And actually I have the feeling, which all of you show, culture actually opens the mind if you look into it a second, and contemporary art especially. So I'm very grateful that you told us a bit of your life about this interwovenness between doing things, working in the culture and with the culture in our world. Are there any questions from the audience? So I want to ask the representative from the Austrian embassy, how do you see the link between Vienna and Luxembourg as a representative of the embassy? Do you see parallels also?
Well, yeah. Does it work? When you were talking about food and events and the combination, I had to laugh because I know a director of a small art center here in the north, and she said there's 2 types of events here, one with sausages and one without, and the ones with, you have a much bigger audience. So, yeah. I think that's a common thing. And I'm happy to hear that you're also partially supported by the Austrian government, of course. And of course, I will have a few more specific questions afterwards. I'll be here to help if you need any connections here in Luxembourg. And you said it's not very fast moving in Vienna, but my question is, on the other hand, do you have more stability therefore? Is there a positive side to that as well?
No, you always have up and downs, obviously. But still, Vienna, especially in the startup scene, it got better, it got bigger, it got a little bit faster, but still it's very complicated, especially in this Web3 sector. For example, 2 years ago, there was a law backwards that just changed the whole outcome of how you buy crypto. So basically, they can change the laws. New regulations are needed, yes, I do, but changing laws backwards, regulations in the Web3 space, makes it very difficult and dangerous for us in our business. That's also why we opened a company in London.
But this is the situation of the not paying taxes on crypto money profit.
I'm not I'm not talking about not paying taxes or anything like that. I'm just saying the possibility is there that they can change the laws backwards whenever they want. Yeah. And that is dangerous for us.
Answer your question?
Thank you.
Any other questions? So then I thank you for coming. Enjoy the Viennese galleries. See the fair. If you see us on the ground, don't hesitate to talk and ask your questions, maybe that come into your mind later. And stay with us a bit today. Thank you.